morning and welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy Presents our MLB DFS pitcher picks for Saturday, May 27th, 2017. It is Saturday, and that means we have a full slate of MLB DFS to break down for you today. Yesterday was certainly a fun night. I had a pretty good night, I'm not going to lie. I've been rough the previous 3 or 4 nights. Just whatever I tried to roll out just didn't work. Last night was very good because cores didn't really pop off. I had a lot of Neil Walker, which was always a good thing last night. But the Red Sox, of course, anytime the Red Sox are in a good position, you can absolutely know that they're going to blow it for you. So that's something that I've noticed this year in a big way, is the Red Sox, except the bottom of the order, somehow just cannot manage to play baseball whatsoever when they're put in a good position. So a lot of ownership to guys like Mookie Betts, Andrew Benintendi, Xander Bogaerts. Kept a good night from being a great night, but we won't lament too much longer. We will focus on the task at hand today, which is to find some pitching options tonight. First one I'm looking at, and I really can't believe I'm looking at it, is CC Sabathia at home against the Oakland Athletics. CC's price at $7,700 on FanDuel. I'm not really a believer in CC Sabathia necessarily, as much as I look at the statistics for the Oakland Athletics against lefties and just say, okay, that's something I do want to try to get a part of. Just not a great overall hitting lineup. We saw what Masahiro Tanaka was able to do against them last night. I don't think that that's the same thing that Sabathia is going to be able to do against them tonight, but I do think he should be able to really minimize the amount of runs given up. Might not have a high strikeout total, but if you're looking at stacking something like cores, I think it does make sense to try to find a bit of a lower price pitcher in a decent situation and roll from there. Sabathia has 2 strong outings in a row, so he's definitely due for a letdown spot, but you can't really look at it that way because every spot he was in before this wasn't exactly great either. So don't mind using CC Sabathia tonight. Next up, let's roll with Dallas Keuchel. 10-4 on FanDuel at home against the Baltimore Orioles. It's tough to say what we're going to see out of Keuchel coming off the DL, but he has been maybe the best pitcher in baseball in terms of just best overall presentation in 2017. He's going back to that Cy Young form he had in 2015. Not a high strikeout guy, but here's the key. When you're going 7 and 8 innings, you're just going to get strikeouts by default almost, because the more pitchers you face, it increases the likelihood. So even if he's coming up with 7 strikeouts in 8 innings, with a quality starting to win, that's a huge number for a pitcher. He's going up against Wade Miley, who has just been really up and down all year. This Orioles lineup can hit sometimes when it wants to. It was another disappointment of last night. That whole Baltimore-Houston game was just atrocious when you were really looking for some fantasy points to come from it. But I think Keuchel could come through with a pretty nice outing tonight. I would just make sure to monitor any information you could get to see if he might be limited. I think it really does get difficult at the top to decide between Stephen Strasburg and Zack Greinke, which could immediately mean that the best route to go would be with Darvish or Keuchel just as kind of tournament pivots, because we know that, at least I feel like, both Strasburg and Greinke are going to be higher owned options. So it might not hurt to just say, well, I'm not going to play either one of them. Pivot to Darvish, who I think of the 4 will probably be the least owned, because now the Blue Jays are back to fuller health. But if I'm picking from the 2 at the top, I'm going to go with Zack Greinke. Number 1, I just don't trust Stephen Strasburg. I don't know what it is about him, but he's, other than like the most recent outing, he's really kind of like stumbled through his games. Maybe the strikeout totals have been there, but the runs allowed have been as well. I know that this is the Padres and they're all kinds of bad. And right now, the player that you fear most in Will Myers has just been absent. I mean, he's just not really doing anything whatsoever. But it wouldn't be the only time this year we see Strasburg go out there and just not have his stuff. He is an extreme pitcher. Just looking at the results on FanDuel, 34, 40, 43, 55, 22, 38, 30, 28, 60. Especially in the past 5 or 6 games, that variance has been all over the place. So I'll go with Zack Greinke. He, on the other hand, has been outside of the one outing. Well, that's not even a one outing. He must have just pinch hit or something. But he's been very strong. I'm looking at strikeout totals here, 12, 8, 11, 7, 9, 11. This is a guy who everybody, not just in the DFS community, but in the fantasy baseball community as well, basically just wrote off and said, there's no strikeout value there, just move on to the next one. He's pretty much proven all the haters wrong and has been striking batters out left and right. Gets a Milwaukee Brewers team tonight that's amongst the league leaders in strikeouts against right-handed pitching. They're down one of their best players in Ryan Braun. Eric Dames has cooled off to the point where he's basically unusable in all formats at this point. So I wouldn't really hesitate to grab some Greinke tonight. That's a pretty cool saying. Grab some Greinke. All right, that'll wrap it up. Our top 3 tournament options: CC Sabathia, Dallas Keuchel, Zack Greinke. Good luck today in your lineups. I hope some of you use this advice and win some big money. If you do, don't hesitate to let me know. I don't want any of it, but I just want to say congratulations and know that this advice is benefiting people. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Head over to researchfantasy.com. Check out some of the content we'll be putting together in the next couple of weeks. I also anticipate kind of changing the whole look of the site as well as we start to add new fun things. Like us on Facebook at Research Fantasy. Follow us on Twitter at Research and Win, and join us again tomorrow.